During the Second World War, it was not uncommon for siblings to serve together. Though as the conflict progressed, many nations began to actively discourage the practice. This was to prevent the potential devastation of families losing multiple members in a single incident, something that was reinforced by high-profile Allied tragedies, such as the demise of the Sullivan brothers, 5 American siblings who all died while serving aboard the USS Juno after the vessel was sunk by a Japanese submarine during the naval battle of Guadalcanal in November of 1942. One such exception to this active discouragement was the case of Frank and Glenn Burston, 2 brothers from Ontario, Canada, who would serve alongside each other with tragic consequences. Frank Burston had enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force on the 7th of August, 1941, with his younger brother Glenn soon following him into service, enlisting on the 23rd of February, 1942. Both would be posted to 82 Operational Training Unit, becoming part of the same all-Canadian crew aboard Wellington bomber HF 485. By 1944, Frank had risen to the rank of flight lieutenant and would serve as the aircraft's pilot, while Glenn, now a 28-year-old flying officer, served as the navigator. Their crew included 31-year-old bombardier, Flying Officer Richard Vernon Dupe, 21-year-old radio operator, Flying Officer Douglas Gordon Bush, and 2 gunners, Sergeant Owen Miller and Sergeant Neil Scott Herder, who were both just 20 years old. On July 4th, 1944, they took off from their base at RAF Ossington in Nottinghamshire, on what would be their last training mission before being posted to an operational squadron. Codenamed Operation Nickel, their task was to drop thousands of propaganda leaflets over the German-occupied Brest Peninsula in western France. After successfully completing their mission, Frank began steering the aircraft back towards home, when in the early hours of the 5th of July, they were suddenly hit by anti-aircraft fire over the Channel Islands. Unable to reach their base, which was approximately 300 miles away, Frank managed to keep the plane in the air for over 100 miles across the English Channel, eventually reaching the safety of the British coast. While attempting a forced landing, the aircraft crash-landed near Livermore Farm, half a mile from Honiton, in South Devon, killing everyone on board. Inseparable as they had been in life, Frank and Glenn Burston were buried in adjacent graves at the Brookwood Military Cemetery, near Woking, in Surrey, along with all the members of their crew.